You couldn't tell us that there's savage ass apes, monkeys out there just eating motherfuckers. You couldn't tell us that right before we left. You couldn't say nothing. In this video, we are going to set the mother clucking mood. Okay, so I highly suggest that you have your cuddle buddy in this one because we're gonna get real. We're gonna get fancy. Pause. We're gonna get close. We're gonna get intimate. Pause again. Okay? You know, this is a very subtle smell. It's not too strong. You know, it's not too light. Right? Yeah, it's very subtle, but it smells good. You know, I don't want to go into your house or like into your room and like, although it smells good in your room, in your house, I don't want to be punched in the face. I don't want the smell to be overwhelming. I don't want the smell to be, you know, over, like I don't want to be punched in the face by some strawberry smells. Right? I want to go into your house. I'm going to go into your room talking about something like, oh, that was nice. This is nice. I like this. This is nice. Not too strong. Not too light. This is nice. Very subtle. I like that, you know. So, hopefully you got your snacks and your cuddle buddy. Every fucking time I have trouble with this. We're speeding this up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we good. And I have one more. You probably already seen this on my Snapchat, but come to find out, they got seasonings. You know, I only bought one. This is white cheddar. Right, I'm just gonna do it like a little sprinkle because, you know, I don't know if this is gonna be good or not. Cause like, say for instance, you know, cause like one thing can be good and then the other thing could be good, but you put them two together and it's not good. You know. Wow. Oh my God. Oh. It's so strong, but I can't stop smelling it. Oh, wow. Wow. Wait, hold on. Oh shit. This looks suspicious. If I was to walk out in public just like this looks like I'm doing, like, if I came to a cop and I said, hey, look at this, I'm getting locked up 50 to life. Hey, y'all remember that SpongeBob episode? For anybody that watches SpongeBob or has watched SpongeBob, you remember that episode where SpongeBob tasted Gary's food for like the first time and he was like, and his face was so, it was so nasty to him. I'm gonna be so mad if this doesn't even, if this is nasty. Cause I don't want to pour this on my shits. Wow. Oh, that's good. Oh. salty as fuck. I mean, hopefully. I wish I had something like to shake it up with, so all the popcorns can like get like an even coat. This is probably too much seasonings, but you know. You know what? I'm tired of. I'm tired of spilling, of spilling popcorn. Like it's over. It's a wrap. I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. I gotta taste it first. Are you serious? That shit good as hell. Oh my god. And for anyone that's anybody that's wondering, oh my god, that's good. White cheddar with the movie theater popcorn. Try it. And you're not gonna go wrong. Trust me on this one. It's good as fuck. But I wasted enough time already. Alright. Sup? No. God, I hope I do not get copyrighted for this. This is my first video of his. Or her. I don't know. Happy childhood. Happy childhood, man.
I had an awesome childhood. My dad was a contractor who worked long hours to provide for our family, while my mom was a part-time bank teller, but she got off just in time every day to pick me up from school.
Okay.
I saw my dad very rarely on weekdays, as I was put to bed before he got home. Oftentimes we had daddy-daughter weekends, because my mom was worried that we weren't bonding. I mean, we were all close. I just was a lot closer to my mom for obvious reasons. We lived in a very beautiful two-story home. It looked a lot like one of those houses you would see in home and gardening magazines. We had a giant backyard, with an oak tree equipped with a tire swing. And when I was 8, my dad built me a tree house up there for me. My mom had enough toys and clothes in it to please an entire litter of kids.
Right now, it sounds like you're in an isolated area. Or like you don't really have like no other people with like next to like it doesn't sound like it sounds like you're in a country, or it sounds like you're just in an isolated area with like little to no neighbors, or like the closest neighbor to you is like 6 miles out, right? Which is far too much out. That's you need neighbors. Like it sounds like you're alone. You don't really have nobody else around you. Which, if that's the case, you already clocking up. Sorry, I'm sorry. Not mother clock. Sorry.
I was an only child, so my mother spoiled me to death. I could have anything I wanted if I put up enough pout. Life was great. The only thing I could never get my mother to budge on was letting me watch TV. I was never allowed to watch it, supervised or not. I felt it was pretty unfair to keep one in the house, especially one of those big ones with surround sound. I tried everything I could to watch cartoons on it, but they had those parental controls that required a password. It was a pretty routine fight in my household. I would beg her for around an hour, at which point she would get fed up and start yelling. I would cry and scream with a force I don't think I could replicate today. As a special treat on Christmas or my birthday, she would pop in an old VHS tape for the whole family to watch, but that was the extent of it. It kind of sucked in school, because all the other kids would talk about their favorite cartoon character, and the only ones that I knew were all old. They would make fun of me for being so behind the times, and I can still hear their laughter piercing my ears. But I was very active in sports and school plays, so I still had a lot of friends.
Okay.
It wasn't really all that bad, I guess. One day I was at school. I must have been around 10 because I remember I was in Miss Fitzgerald's class when I got the call to go to the principal's office. All the shits in my class began the, "Ooh, Maggie's in trouble" bit, which I didn't appreciate because I was definitely a goody-goody. The whole walk there, my heart was pounding in my chest. What did I do? I kept thinking to myself. When I got there, the principal just told me my mom was going to work late because one of the girls at her office had gotten sick and wasn't in. I was told that my friend Bentley's mother would come pick me up from school and drop me off at home.
Okay.
As I was turning to leave, the principal stopped me and said, "Oh, and Maggie, be sure to call your mother once you're home safe." When I got home, my dog Roscoe was rowdy, so I let him into the backyard. I walked to the kitchen phone. I picked up the receiver and dialed my mom's work number. I put it up to my ear and heard nothing. I checked the phone, and whatever genius used it last forgot to put the receiver back on the charger, so it was dead. I went to the living room and found that phone, which was luckily charged. I dialed the number and was greeted by Greta, a nice older lady who worked with my mom. She passed me through to my mom, who told me to have a snack and to do my homework. And before I knew it, she would be home. I hung up with her and put the phone back on the charger. That was when I noticed a blinking red dot,
No, you didn't.
indicating messages. I was worried about my soccer game the next evening. They kept saying that it was going to rain, and that they would be keeping us updated on whether or not they were going to cancel it. So I pressed play and walked to the door to grab my backpack. "Hey, honey, it's Rick. Sorry I didn't get the chance to see you this morning before you left for work. I wanted to see if you knew anyone who could watch Maggie this weekend. I got us tickets to that violinist you wanted to see. Anyways, I love you. I'll see you tonight. Bye." The next message began to play, as I had just started working on my math homework. "Hey, it's me again. I forgot to mention in my last message that I changed the password this morning. It said it expired when I turned it on this morning. The new one is 90537. Love you." Like I said, I had already pulled out my homework and was working on it, so it took me a moment to register what he said. But when it did, boy, I jumped up like it was Christmas morning. I quickly formulated a plan. I replaced the message so my mom and dad had no clue that I listened to it. I did my homework so my mom didn't think I was disobeying her. I rushed all through my homework and ran to let Roscoe in. I figured he could hear if Mom came home and alert me. I grabbed a pillow off the couch and plopped down on the floor in front of the TV. Oh yeah, time for some cartoons.
Oh yeah, my ass. Look, it sounds like you're home alone with your dog. I'm gonna need you to make sure that all doors, vents, and windows are locked. Double lock and triple lock. You young as hell in a house, basically home alone. I'm gonna need you to do that. Because if you don't, you're gonna get clocked up. Here's some more. Here's some good ass Powerball. Damn. Excuse me. And it still seems like you are like you're still isolated. It sounds like you don't really have nobody else, no neighbors around you. So I'm gonna need you to have your guard up, please. Can you do that for me? You sure? Don't let me down now. Alright then, let's get back. Did as I turned on the TV. It popped up with a message. Password required. I carefully entered the 5-digit passcode. I felt a rush of excitement throughout my whole body. Like I said, I was a good kid, so this was totally out of my nature.
I don't know what show was on, but I think it was probably left on the channel my parents watched last night. They were into a lot of those police shows where they go after bad guys who kill or hurt people. I knew this because a lot of the time at night, I could hear the TV in my room, and I could hear a lot of the loud screaming. When I asked my mom about it, she told me about those shows like Law and Order and stuff. I messed around with the remote for a little while, clicking up and down the channels, but each channel was the same. It even had the same white logo on the bottom right-hand side, just with a different actress. They were each shackled up by their wrists to a concrete wall in a dimly lit room. Each of them were dirty with torn clothes and unkempt hair.
What the hell?
What I assumed was blood, or probably ketchup, was caked on where the fake cuts covered their skin. I threw the remote across the room. I was so frustrated. Where were the cartoons? The girl on the TV began to cry. I could hear a static. She looked up directly into the camera, with tears flooding her eyes. "Please, you have to let me go." It was like she was talking directly to the viewers at home.
Yo! Oh my... hold... Oh! This what we doing? Huh? This what we doing? Is this what we doing? Is this... Yo... Okay, so hopefully y'all know why I'm freaking out. And I just got a little bit of emotional. Somebody called me like a, I'm not even going to address that, but hold on. Let me get this straight. God, I hope this is not true. Okay, so the reason I'm freaking out. Hold on, because if this is true, her mom or whoever she's living with is clucked up in the head. Like they're doing some clucked up shit. So the reason I'm freaking out is because it sounds like her mom or whoever's, is not allowing her to watch TV is because they have people trapped in the house, or they have somebody. It's like, or they're keeping somebody or a couple of people prisoners or something, or they're doing some messed up. It's like they're doing something illegal, and they don't want their daughter to find out. It's like they're doing something. It's like her mom or whoever's not allowing her to watch the TV by herself is doing some clucked up shit to some people. And it's like they're keeping them prisoners or something like that. And it's like, that's crazy. If that's the case, oh my God. Oh my God. All right, hold on. Let's keep going.
"I won't tell anyone. Please." Roscoe had started whining and circling in front of the TV. "Shut up, you goof," I said, rubbing his big head. He rested next to me, but the more the girl on the TV cried, the more he did as well. I kept watching, waiting for the police to come rescue her, but nothing happened.
Oh my God.
The girl continued to cry and plead, but nothing really changed.
This shit real.
I watched until I heard my mom open the garage door. I quickly flipped off the television and put the remote back in its rightful place. The rest of the night was normal. Mom made dinner, I took a shower, and went to bed before my dad came home. I was drifting into sleep that night when it hit me. I knew the girl on the TV. I knew a celebrity. I remember meeting her at a park with my dad on one of our daddy-daughter outings. She had a puppy who looked just like Roscoe, and my dad urged me to go over and introduce myself to her so I could pet the dog. So, of course, I did. My dad and the lady talked for a while I played with the dog. The next day, my dad brought me home Roscoe and gave him to me. "Now you have your very own doggie just like that nice lady yesterday," he said, kissing my forehead. I was so happy for her that she became a big star. She was such a good actress. But boy, I couldn't wait to go to school and tell my friends that I knew a celebrity off of the show Closed Circuit Television. Finally, I had the upper hand.
You have no idea. You have no idea. Before we get into number two, it took a minute for the actual horror part to come into play. But when it did, oh my God. For anybody that didn't catch it, her parents are doing some clucked up shit. It's like they're keeping celebrities or just people in general like prisoners. They're keeping people locked up in some place. They're keeping them locked up for some reason. And that's really disturbing. Shouts out to you for the person that requested me to do this, to react to this video or their videos, because thank you. This is good. Hopefully the rest of the stories are good, but oh my God. It's so good. The popcorn is too, but that first story was really good. Oh my God. Okay, let's go. You ready? All right.
I was a senior in college finishing up my photography major when I began to hear hushed murmurs from my cohort about urbex, urban exploration. For those of you who don't know, urbex is when people usually illegally break into abandoned locations and go exploring, usually just for the hell of it. It's become increasingly popular with photographers, however, because many of the occupants and businesses in these decrepit buildings just up and left, leaving all sorts of records and items behind. It's like living in a snapshot from decades, if not centuries ago. As soon as you make your first cautious step into the building, it takes hold of you and transports you into the past. I gained enough confidence to go urbexing with a few friends, and it didn't take long for me to fall in love. I visited abandoned funeral homes that were shut down a century ago, where I marveled at how the place still smelled of the embalming fluid still stored there,
Ew.
safe in their jars.
Ew.
Aside from the layers of dust and debris, it looked and felt as if a funeral service would be held there within the hour. There was an open casket near the pastor's podium, sitting there with its polished oak and fine velvet interior, still waiting to take someone to their final destination. I explored abandoned hospitals and mental institutions. There have been TV shows that have tried to convey what the inside of these places look like, but they hardly compare to being there yourself. It's like you're in the gold room from The Shining. You seem to be locked in a time warp for the duration of your stay. For instance, when I explored a mental hospital in the middle of my state, I continuously expected for a deranged mental patient to come shuffling around every corner, which had me sweating bullets and kept me on edge all night long. Places of despair and suffering are especially prone to the collection of energy. I am absolutely certain that there are patients within the building that still reside there, even though their bodily forms have long since decayed. But enough about that. Every urban explorer in my home state of Florida knows about River Country. Located within the Fort Wilderness Campground on Walt Disney World property, it's actually very easy to break into if you know what you're doing and where you need to go. Don't ask me how I got in. I won't tell you. It's a thing for people of all ages to do, whether to experience the nostalgia of visiting the water park, or because they are so obsessed with Disney that visiting the decrepit water park has become a rite of passage. The brave souls who visit the abandoned water park know that if they are caught, they will be permanently banned from Disney World for life. But for some guys like me and my friend Joe, the cheap thrill of exploration outweighed the consequences of being banned from the biggest tourist trap in the eastern United States. After our first and admittedly brief visit to River Country one day before going drinking in downtown Disney, we decided that we wanted to swim the short distance between the park and Discovery Island. For those...
How far are you going to take this shit? You know? Like, how far? Like, all of these abandoned places y'all checking out, brave souls and whatnot. Okay, y'all keep checking shit out, y'all. You can't forget all that brave soul talk, cause your soul about to be gone. I find that really funny. I'm not laughing now, but I find when people try to take stuff out their teeth and they be like, I find that really funny. Now I'm laughing for some reason. I laugh at the weirdest like things, like, you know. I laugh when people. This is so weird, but I laugh when people look, like when I see them and they look like out of the corner of their eye and you see like their pupil. I still laugh at that, but when I was younger, me and my cousin, we would talk like that. We would talk just by looking at the corner of our eye, and we would just be dying laughing. Again, something weird that I just laughed at, you know. But it's okay. It is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, something about to happen to your soul the further you keep going, and the more exploration. Am I saying that right? Fuck it.
You who don't know, Discovery Island is essentially a precursor to Animal Kingdom. It functioned as a small zoo with a various assortment of animals. When River Country was shut down and Animal Kingdom opened around the same time, the animals from Discovery Island were moved to the theme park. A section of Animal Kingdom is still called Discovery Island to this day, as a homage to the now abandoned island. Anyway, Joe and I started planning that day as to how to gain access to the island. I'm sure you've also heard, Disney has eyes everywhere. There are cameras and security guards everywhere you look.
I ain't like the way he said that. Disney has eyes everywhere. Everywhere? Everywhere. No, but in all seriousness, no, I ain't like the way he said that. Disney has eyes everywhere. Oh my God, that was weird. That was so weird. Cause look, like, all right, my candle's right here. Like, and you see how the light, like the fire's moving, right? You see how it's moving? So when I said the eyes, when I said the Disney has eyes everywhere, I was looking straight at this, and the bitch stood the hell up. It got straight, and then it moved not one bit. I was like, oh my God, that was weird. That was scary as hell. There better not be nothing in my room.
Thankfully, you can learn to spot them. Joe and I hunched over our liquor in the most crowded parts of the bars of Pleasure Island, as we discussed in hushed voices about our plans. When Joe and I went back to our hotel room after drinking, I quickly pulled out my laptop to do some research on the area around River Country, Discovery Island, and Bay Lake, which is the lake that the island sits in. The first thing I noticed is how much stuff there is online with regards to boat schedules and where security will be throughout Disney World at any given time. Joe and I used these articles and forum posts to know when to avoid being around the island shores. We also used aerial maps to estimate how long we had to swim. While many Disney forums said that it would be a grueling 100-foot swim, Joe and I realized that it would be a 100-yard swim after visiting Fort Wilderness and River Country for ourselves.
Damn.
Thankfully, Joe and I are both strong swimmers, so the excursion would not be a problem for us. The two of us would set out shortly after dusk. We packed essentials like water, food, and some survival gear just in case, into a couple of waterproof bags that would act as our personal floating devices, as we swam from River Country to Discovery Island. Then we left our car at the hotel, and took one of the complimentary Disney shuttles to Fort Wilderness, where we spent the day acting like tourists, sitting on the benches, playing in the pool, and visiting the animals at the campground's petting zoo. When dusk came, and the security guards went home for the night, Joe and I made our way back into River Country, which was to be our launching point to the island, and our returning point when we came back. We operated in pitch darkness, making as little noise as possible as we found the hole in the fence that allowed us to enter the abandoned water park.
Wow.
As with almost every other abandoned location I've been to, River Country looked frozen in time. Joe and I took some time to explore the empty pools and water slides at the park before making our way to our launching point. The silence of the night was broken when we started hearing banjo music blaring from everywhere.
Get out.
Which made me jump out of my skin.
Get out of.
I've probably seen Deliverance one too many times.
All ass.
Soon after the corny little banjo music came on, path lights began to illuminate a safe route to our launch point. Apparently Disney still ran electricity and music to their abandoned properties. The swim to Discovery Island was about as easy as I expected it to be. There were pages and pages of forums that warned us of the alligators and brain-eating bacteria that populated Bay Lake, but I did not heed their advice. Every native Floridian grows up on swimming with alligators and diving.
So, whatever happens to you, you have no body or nothing to blame. Cause you're still going deeper into this until I forgot what they was in. But you're still going deeper into it. And there's little signs that tell you, basically not to go any further. And you just said, basically, cluck those signs. I'ma just do me, and we're gonna go forward. Cool? Cool. Okay? Cool. That's what we doing. So, for real? That's what we doing? Are we just ignoring all signs, all red flags? And we just going, we just going. Oh, okay. Cool. Not cool, but cool. Those are the people that you should never hang around with. The people that ignore signs, red flags. That's like me. I don't know. I can't even think right now. I don't know why I can't think. Nah. Nothing pops up. Sorry.
Natural waterways, so swimming in Bay Lake would be no different. Joe and I made it to Discovery Island after about 30 minutes of slow swimming. We threw the waterproof bags on our backs and made our way into the island where it would be harder to spot us. Within our first few minutes on the island, Joe and I got this feeling of being watched.
You are.
Like we were being stalked by some large predator.
You probably are.
He chalked it up to the adrenaline and called me a pussy as we found the first path to follow. My childhood memories of Discovery Island are ones that I'll always cherish. I got to spend a week camping with my family at Fort Wilderness, and we would often take the ferry over to the island to visit the tropical birds and see the collections of exotic animals. It was like a scene straight out of Jungle Book, with its sculpted plants and the din of animals rustling and calling out from the lush trees above. The quaint little island still holds this charm, although the plants have overgrown and have taken over the island, giving it a more wild appearance. The path we chose led up to a series of cages and small fences. It was obvious that during its glory days, this area housed a number of exotic birds that were free to roam around as they pleased. The cages were probably used to house small mammals or large birds of some sort. Joe and I walked around the area, noting how the shallow ponds and sculpted waterfalls still retained their beauty. We then went to inspect the cages, which still had their exhibit signs on them. There was a large array of South American and African birds that once lived there, with the occasional mammal. But now all the cages were empty. I was inspecting the cage that once housed toucans when I heard some shuffling nearby. Joe, what is that? I asked, looking around to spot the danger.
If I was young, you heard that shuffling, that would have been me. Hauling ass. I would have forgot you. I would have said clock you and just hauled ass until I got somewhere safe, until I got to civilization. Joe, what is that? You ain't talking to me. Joe, my ass. Joe, where are you? Bitch, I'm already 6 miles out. What are you talking about?
Pulled a knife from his pocket and brandished it in the direction of the noise. He threatened to knife whatever came out of the bushes, until we saw what it was. It was a tortoise. A giant tortoise.
Wow.
Look, he must be a stowaway, I exclaimed, walking over to it and squatting down. It hissed at me and raised its head in defense, as we were probably the first humans he had seen. I bet you his parents laid eggs that the staff never noticed. There's probably a few of these guys scooting around this island. There's certainly enough vegetation for them to eat. I patted the tortoise's shell, as Joe made his way over to do the same.
Don't touch it.
See? This island isn't so bad, huh?
Yeah, alright.
He said as he pet our new friend. His toothy grin reeked of the confidence and fearlessness that I lacked. Joe and I spent a few more minutes with the tortoise before he moved on to explore the rest of the island.
There you go, exploring.
We found more exhibits and pathways that led this way and that. We couldn't help but take our time to explore each exhibit area and read every sign, spending an uneventful night.
Do you ever realize the people? Do you realize that the people that always end up exploring things are curious, want to check shit out, want to investigate some shit? They always end up probably over exaggerated the always, but 99.96.99.979630% point decimation point what? All I'm trying to say is don't go exploring. Don't go checking shit out. Don't go investigate. Don't be curious. Don't be brave. Don't. Oh, all right. Well, brave is kind of, don't be brave unless you have to. Just think about what you about to be doing. All right. You don't want to put yourself in danger. That's all I'm saying.
In the thick foliage of Discovery Island. Daytime was different. We had agreed to wait until dawn to start exploring the buildings, the majority of which we had found during our nighttime scooting. First was a gift shop, located just inside the main dock, where the ferry used to pull in. The cheery images of Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, and Donald Duck in safari gear still looked new, even if the colors were slightly faded. There was still merchandise on the shelves as well. Joe stuffed a magnet into his pocket, while I looked at all the stuffed animals and t-shirts. I, for one, wasn't keen on stealing. Once we were finished checking out the gift shop, we went to go explore the buildings and indoor animal houses. These buildings were still all pitch black, save for the small areas of light that shone through the windows. Joe and I pulled out our flashlights and quickly realized that we were not alone. Eyes. There were dozens of pairs of eyes reflecting in the light back at us. Joe and I froze in our tracks as we saw a colony of monkeys looking back at us.
Stop freezing.
They were larger and far more muscular than any monkey that I've ever seen,
What's he
possibly a cross between multiple species that used to be on display. One of them yawned and showed off his fangs that were easily the size of my middle finger. We had to get out of there quickly. More leftovers,
Damn.
Joe murmured to me as we began shuffling backwards towards the exit. We didn't focus on the group of primates who were beginning to congregate. My friend's heel caught on something as we moved, and he fell backwards, hitting his head on the cold concrete below with a loud smack, where he became unconscious. The colony of monkeys noticed Joe's fall as well, and acting like one large animal, they banded together and moved in sync towards the still body of my friend, whooping and hollering at the tops of their lungs. Their screams sounded human-like as they approached, some of them standing on two legs as they did so. The larger monkeys had to be at least 7 feet tall on their hind legs,
Damn.
looking almost human-like, with patches of shaggy brown hair on their heads and coarse, short hair on their bodies, with about 20 of them now approaching Joe and I with a predatory stare. I knew I was going to be no match fighting them off, and I did something that I'm still not proud of to this day. I backed up about 25 yards away or so from my unconscious friend, before the colony of monkeys closed in. What happened next is something that I'll never forget.
I would have left him.
The monkeys, who now surrounded my friend, began to eat him alive. Joe's screams of anguish were deafened by the screams of the monkeys, who were now excited and enraged. They took large, bloody bites out of my friend, ripping him apart like a child's doll. Joe had a slow death, slower than I would have imagined from him being ripped open. But I can only assume that he was in a state of shock when the monkeys began to violently tear his intestines and other organs out of his body and drag them off to their own corners of the room to devour. Occasionally, 2 monkeys would fight over a body part, and I would often hear the loud crack of his bones being broken. I waited until each last monkey was occupied with eating before I made my escape out of the building and to the edge of the island. Thankfully, none of them pursued me as I made my leave, beelining it to the opposite side of the island. My best friend was gone. It was his idea to go to this stupid island.
That's what he
He
get.
called me a pussy for being so afraid. I guess I was right after all to have my wits about me, because he was now in a dozen pieces being ravenously devoured by some strange mutant primates that Disney doesn't want the world to know about. I bet there are more animals on that island, ones that have evolved and mutated to become monsters. I didn't stick around to find out, I can tell you that for sure. Being banned by some stupid park was far safer than being stuck on that island with God knows what. I don't even remember the swim back to River Country.
Is it rude? Wow, rude? Is it rude or like disrespectful if I say, you know, to my friend that got eaten alive? Which I don't even know if this story is true or not. I don't know if any of these stories are true. Right. But like, is it rude / disrespectful if I told my friend, you know, because he got eaten alive? Told you so. See? What did I say? I told you something was gonna happen. You didn't want to believe me. I told you so. Is that rude? I feel like it is. But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's rude, but then again, I feel like it's not. Like, I don't know. God, I hope these stories are not true, but then again, I hope it is. Because this second story is like, it seems so like, I don't know. How the hell you make it out of that whole thing alive? Really? Not one scratch. All them monkeys, all them savages. You make it out alive. I feel like you bullshitting. But if anybody knows anything about this channel, unit, I think it's hashtag 5522. Are his stories true or fake? I don't know, because this story seems kind of 50-50. You know, I like to do true stories. You know, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
Except for the fact that I made it back to the Fort Wilderness campground safely, without getting caught. I reported to the police that my friend went missing during our trip to Disney World, and that he may have gone to explore Discovery Island by himself.
Oh, hell no. I'm a very blunt person. I would have told him that, I would have told the teacher, whoever was watching us, hey, so me and my best friend, we drifted off somewhere, and the reason he's not back is because he got eaten the hell up alive, and I highly suggest that we not stay here a second longer. Please, let's go back. Let's go. Come on, hurry up, please. Oh, you said we missing one person. Who was that? Adam?
As far as I know, the police never followed up on that, but I alone know Joe's fate. Upon returning home, and taking a week of personal time to recover, I went to a local Urbex meetup, and told people what happened to my friend Joe. I was expecting surprised reactions from all of them, but instead I was met with understanding and sympathy. Apparently many people go out to Discovery Island. It's a thing, just like breaking into river country is. However, most people don't make it back from the island alive, and the ones that do share their stories of predatory animals of all shapes and sizes. Some who survive their visit to Discovery Island.
So you motherfuckers knew all about this island, all about what this whole shit was about, and you still let us go? Really? You couldn't tell us this early in advance, like before we really? You couldn't tell us that there's savage ass apes, monkeys out there just eating motherfuckers? You couldn't tell us that right before we left? You couldn't say nothing. Okay, cool. I'm killing you in your sleep.
That Disney has a child trafficking ring, and the children who don't survive are brought to the island so that no evidence can be found. Others say that black magic and human sacrifices are performed there to keep Disney's profits up. Walt Disney himself knew a lot about the occult, as the stories go. It doesn't matter which rumor about Discovery Island that you choose to believe, or why you would even want to go exploring on Disney property. If you are wise, you'll heed my advice, and never swim out to that goddamned island. If you do, prepare for the horrors that await you, in the one place that lifts the innocent veil of the happiest place on earth.
I'm not prepared for nothing. The fact that y'all went to Disney World or Disneyland is already...
This is something that happened to me a few days ago, and it's still giving me nightmares.
Okay.
Apart from my one friend who saw what happened with his own eyes, I don't think anyone else will believe me. I've had some time now to think about it and go over the details, so I'm going to try and describe everything that happened as best and as accurately as I can, and you can draw your own conclusions.
Okay.
I'm sorry if I don't write as well as I should. I'm not the best storyteller,
Right.
And it's just that this whole experience is still really raw in my mind. So as I said, a few days ago, I was driving home. I was on my way back from visiting a friend who had taken a nasty fall on an icy road and broke his leg and foot in several places.
Damn.
So he can't walk or drive. Just to help you understand the location a little more, I live in the heart of the city, while my friend lives right outside the outskirts of town, in a converted house that used to be part of a farm. To get to his place, you have to drive through the city and take a long stretch of road where there's nothing on either side except for farmland, fields, and trees.
No.
It's quite nice at his house, usually very quiet and peaceful. Lots of fresh air, and vacant areas in all directions for great walks. It's also quite inconvenient to get some shopping done and all that stuff. Normally it's not a problem. My friend just drives into town whenever he needs to. Except because now he broke his leg, he can't drive anymore. And he can't exactly hobble his way into town on his crutches. So I've been helping him out by driving over to his house after I finish work, with groceries and anything else he needs, making sure he's okay. And we also chill out for a bit. Since his injury, I've driven over to his place on a regular basis for the past few weeks, and many times before that too. He's lived in that place for years. I know the route well, and I've never had any problems on that road before, ever. So I was totally relaxed driving home in the dark. I drove away from his house and had been on the road for maybe 3 to 4 minutes. I know every bend on the road, and I'm very comfortable driving on it. However, and this is important, because it had been very icy outside that night, I was driving very carefully, well within the speed limit. A few minutes into the drive, I see flashing police lights behind me. I have never been pulled over for anything ever, so my first thought was that the car wanted to go around me. I slowed down and went to the side of the road, and it turned out the police car pulled over with me. I was very apprehensive at this point because, like I said, I've always been a straight-laced kind of guy. No run-ins with the law, and I wanted to keep it that way. When I got pulled over, I had flashbacks of all those YouTube videos I've seen where bored or under-quota cops basically sometimes get a reason to give you a ticket if you give them an attitude or say anything wrong. So I just rolled down my window and tried to put my friendliest face on. What happened, though, was way worse than anything I was worried about.
What you talking about?
I would have actually preferred to have been arrested and spent the night in jail,
What you talking?
compared to what I went through that night. The police officer came up and introduced himself as Officer Jones. He asked me for my documents, and said I was going too fast, even though I swear I wasn't. But I kinda got the feeling that the cop was having a bad day or something, so I just kept my mouth shut, and agreed with everything he said. I knew I wasn't speeding for a fact, but I wasn't going to argue. I had this feeling that he made up a reason just to stop me, and I was right. "You stay here while I go write this up," said Officer Jones. When he moved away from the window and towards his car, I saw that there was another police officer standing just behind him. "You stay here," said Officer Jones to his partner. "I'm going to write this man a ticket, and I need you to stay here and keep an eye on him while I go do that. Okay, Davis?" He was talking in a very... patronizing isn't the right word. He was just speaking overly clearly, like when you're talking to a child, except he was talking to his colleague, another officer, who really should know whatever the procedure was by now. It confused me a bit, and I thought, perhaps the other guy is still in training. But even so, you don't talk to a trainee that way.
I don't know why I thought about the oh my god, the dumbest prank, one of the dumbest pranks I have ever seen. Stupidest pranks too. You know that prank, y'all know about Chris and Queen? They're like they were a couple, black couple. They had a baby, separated, whatever. I'm not about to get into no details, but like it's this YouTuber thing, like Chris Sales or something like that, and I think he got locked up. He's out now, I guess. I don't know what the hell happened, but like he got arrested for like doing some like illegal shit, like I don't know really know too many details about it, but like I think he tried to like what's that term called? Impersonate or something. He tried to act like a cop by pulling people over and stuff like that. Like that sounds illegal. Why would you even want to do that? But that just got me thinking. Like, what if God? I hope this is not a prank, and I hope like this is a real deal, and they're not about to like cluck him up. But I hate the cops. I hate the cops that have like a bad day or like something happens and they pull you over for like the tiniest, stupidest things. Like, really? You gonna pull me over? Because my hair is not like it's not like that was so weird. I don't know why I did that.
It was a strange tone of voice, filled with so many emotions. I can't explain it. It was like he was talking to someone who's stupid and might not understand, but in a still respectful way, like he's afraid of offending him. It was.
I hate that. I hate that's one of my biggest pet peeves. Is when somebody tries to talk to me like I'm stupid or act like I'm stupid. Like, bitch, I know how to sweep. I know how to mop. I know how to get carts. I know how to. Come on, don't talk to me like I'm stupid, because trust and believe me, honey, I can do the same shit. I can talk to you like you fucking 3 years old. Don't do that. I know I can follow instructions. I can follow rules. You don't have to talk to me like I'm stupid. Because I'm going to talk to you like you stupid too. Or I might just flat out be like, who the fuck do you think you talking to? Don't talk to me like that. I'm a grown ass man. Yeah, I love popcorn.
Really weird. And like I say, it's difficult to describe that tone of voice and that whole vibe unless you were there. Officer Jones, who was slightly overweight, went back to the car. The second officer, Davis, stood exactly where he was, rooted to the spot, maybe about an arm's length away from my car. It was dark outside, but the police lights were still flashing from the front, so I could see his face illuminated in the flashing red and blue lights. He looked like he was in his later 30s, so maybe he wasn't exactly a rookie, going by his age. But there was something about his face. He seemed just blank, no expression at all.
One Punch Man.
He didn't look back at me when I looked at him. He was just staring out ahead, with his vacant expression. It seriously freaked me out.
Yeah.
More than it should have.
Yeah.
Because it was just so weird. Honestly, I think that's why Officer Jones had that strange tone of voice. He was speaking very clearly to make himself understood, like you sometimes do with a child, but with a hint of fear, if that makes sense. Honestly, I've analyzed this so much in my head in the days since, because I think it is very telling for what happened next. Officer Jones got into the car, and I thought he was writing out my citation, but as soon as he got in, he slammed his door shut, and he started to drive away, with the passenger side door of his car still open, like he had been waiting for an excuse to get away from that second officer. At the time, I was really confused about why Officer Jones was driving away. I thought maybe he was adjusting his car before he writes me up. I was very much in the frame of mind where I was just obediently waiting for my ticket, so things did not register in my mind right away. It's not until everything else happened, and I thought back on everything in hindsight, that it became blatantly obvious that Officer Jones was trying to leave Officer Davis behind, and just get away from him in an abrupt way, without warning. However, as soon as the patrol car's engine revved up, The second officer's expression changed immediately. Instantly, there was fury on his face. He caught on almost instantly what Officer Jones was trying to do. I watched as the second officer ran to the car.
This seems like a... I mean, I don't want to be in your business or anything. But obviously, he pulled me over for some BS. Right. And it seems like y'all got some personal issues y'all need to take care of. And you didn't really pull me over for nothing important. So I'ma just get out of here. I'ma just go. So that's what we doing. Hopefully y'all can get that shit taken care of. Cause I'm out of here. Sorry, I'm bouncing. I'm out. Seems like a personal thing. I don't know what the hell going on with them, but like, god damn.
Absolutely astonishing strength and determination. There was actually a slight ditch on the side of the road, and when pulling out, Officer Jones had a bit of difficulty getting the car back onto the road smoothly. A slight delay, but that was enough. Officer Davis was beside the car. He had his hands on the open passenger door, and he somehow darted inside the car while it was still moving.
Hell no.
The car started to weave out of control, like there was a commotion going on inside. It then turned abruptly to the right and crashed into a tree.
Damn.
I had no idea what was going on, and though my first instinct was to run, the fear of the authorities made me stay. I mean, I don't know if they had my name in the system already, and it was likely that the patrol car had a camera on it recording or something, and leaving 2 officers injured on the site of the car crash would look really bad.
Yeah.
Plus, I was just freaked out and worried at this point. I wanted to help and make sure they were okay. Actually, I just wanted to make sure the first officer was okay. There was something instinctive that suggested that he was a good guy. But that expression on Davis's face scared me, so I didn't move at first. I just stared at the car. It was rocking, and then it went still. My mouth was dry, and I was shaking badly. I just sat there for what seemed like ages, but I couldn't just drive off. I really did not know what to do, but I thought I should maybe just see what had happened. Then I could drive to the police station and report it. I couldn't use my phone because my battery was dead. Perhaps I could use the radio in the police car if they were both injured. My mind was just all over the place. I had a feeling that there must have been a good reason the first officer wanted to get away from Davis. But at the same time, I was thinking that they must both be injured now. Plus, I didn't know the full story. Something crazy was going on, but it was none of my business, and I just had to be a good citizen right now. I opened my car door and slowly made my way to the wreck, just to take a quick peek inside. What I saw is a scene that will forever be burned in my memory. Officer Davis was sitting on top of Officer Jones.
Oh.
Officer Jones was covered in this weird black substance, like tar, and he was shaking, like he was having a seizure. He was very pale, almost half dead it seemed. There were bruises all over his face, and a gash over his eye. Officer Davis was watching his face, with his hands on either side of his head, clutching it, and laughing. I was frozen, watching the scene. Then Officer Davis threw up on Officer Jones.
Ew.
Making a loud retching noise. And then he started laughing again. I can't remember if I made any sound, but I must have. Maybe like an uncontrollable gasp of horror or something. Because Officer Davis snapped his head around and stared at me. He stopped laughing, and his enraged expression was back. But the weird thing is, his face looked different now. He still had eyes and a nose, but it kind of looked like they were melted.
Ew, what the?
I only saw his face for a few seconds, but I swear that is what I saw. It made me feel faint. Then he started yelling at me, but I couldn't understand what he was saying. He was just talking almost like made of words, or maybe a language I didn't understand. Officer Davis got out of the car, and when he did, Officer Jones almost flopped out behind him, like dead weight, and fell heavily onto the tarmac. It was slippery out on the road, but I just turned and ran. As I turned, I fell. I was on the verge of hysteria. There was a clatter as things fell from my pockets onto the road. My phone, coins, and my wallet too. But I didn't care. I dragged myself to my feet again, completely ignoring my grazed knees and forearms, and how much they were stinging. I booked it to my car. Officer Davis was following me. I got in, but a split second later I realized that I didn't have my car keys with me. I had dropped them when I fell, and now I couldn't start my car. I could see things glinting on the road where I had dropped them, but Officer Davis was coming after me like a madman, and I couldn't go for them. I got out of the car and started running in the other direction. I started running to the only place I could think of, back to my friend's house. I could hear him after me. I could hear his footfall, but more terrifyingly, I could hear him yelling relentlessly, and saying these weird words, almost like an incantation or something. It was absolutely horrifying, but I just kept running. I kept my focus on my destination. I just wanted to get to safety, behind a closed door. That is all I could think of. I kept trying to focus so I wouldn't lose my mind with fear. At one point, I felt something cold on the back of my neck, and I thought that he had touched me. I screamed and looked back, but thank God, he was still a few paces behind me. I just kept on running, so I wouldn't let him catch up with me again. My limbs were shaking as I ran. My teeth were chattering, and I'm not sure if it was the adrenaline or pure fear. I think it was probably both. At some point, when he was still behind me, and screaming like a madman, I think I actually started crying. I was crying loudly and praying, over and over again. "Oh God, please help me! Oh God, please help me!" It was just like a nightmare, and I couldn't believe it was actually happening. I slipped and skidded a few times, but I never stopped. I wanted to change my route and tried to hide behind the trees. All I could focus on was keeping the insane man behind me and getting to my friend's house. Finally, Brett's house loomed on the horizon, and it spurred me on even faster. I was cramping up, and I was bruised and injured from all the falls I had taken. I have never run so fast or so long in my life, and I don't think I'll ever be able to again. I got to Brett's door and just started pounding and screaming his name, pleading for him to open the door. His broken leg would make it difficult for him to reach the door, but I didn't care if he had to drag himself to the door at that point. I just wanted it open. I just wanted to get inside. I had made surprising headway over the crazy demonic officer. He was at least 30 paces away from me, but he was catching up. I was still crying. My face felt numb with the cold, but my limbs were on fire. I was out of breath and panting hard. There was mucus on my face running down from my nose and into my mouth as I screamed for Brett to come open the door. Not a pretty picture, but I just wanted to convey to you what a mess I was and how absolutely terrified I was. I could think of nothing more but getting to safety. I felt something cold on the back of me again, and I screamed. I turned my head while I was leaning on the door, and I could see that Officer Davis was now only a few paces away. He was throwing something at me.
That's messed up. That's really messed up. Like, how you gonna go to like your man's house, right? You know you're in danger, and you trying to get out of it, but you go to your man's house now. He's in a clucked up situation. That's messed up. That's messed up. That's clucked up, and that's something up. That's just messed up. Like, I would have, yeah. If that was me, if I was, what do you call him, Brett? If I was like in his situation, and I seen you coming, you running for your life, I'm locking all doors, I'm closing all vents, locking all windows, right? Because obviously you running from something, you look scared, and you're not about to bring whatever you're running from to here. I was just chilling in my living room, watching Netflix, watching some some Riverdale and whatnot. Next thing I know, I see a motherfucker coming to me. Nah, see, oh, I'm closing all things and everything's. And act like I just didn't see you. You're gonna have to find somewhere else to stay. You're gonna have to find somewhere else to stay or get somewhere else to like be safe because you're not about to be at my house. Sorry, I love you, not that much.
I was staring into his face, which looked like it had literally melted, like his features were now just oozing off of him. All I could see were his angry eyes. He was still shouting these weird garbled words at me. I could actually smell his disgusting breath now. It wafted towards me as he shouted, and it made me want to hurl. I thought I was actually going to vomit, but honestly at that moment, I thought I wouldn't get the chance to even be sick, because I thought he was going to kill me. So many things were just going through my mind, like how he was going to kill me. Would it be painful? How long would it take? And if he would kill Brett too? And what would the official storyline be? Was he a savage, corrupt cop? Would he pin false claims against me? Would I die with my name tarnished and my family ashamed of me?
Probably.
It's weird what goes through your mind when you genuinely think you're going to die. I seriously thought that was it. And then, thank God, the door opened, and I fell inside through the doorway and into the house, directly on top of Brett, and my weight caused him to topple over as well. But I got up as fast as I could, still shaking with adrenaline. I whipped around and slammed the door shut, right as the officer was at the door. I actually felt the door slam shut against his body. I scrambled to bolt the door and put the chain on it. I ignored Brett's questions. I didn't have the breath or the mind to explain. I just leaned against the door as the officer started banging against it. "What the hell is wrong with his face?" said Brett. "What's going on?" I just shook my head helplessly, and I went for the phone, but then stopped. Should I call the police? What if others were in on this? Whatever the hell this was, we were going to have to defend ourselves. I was going to say something more to Brett. I was going to try and explain to him, but then I felt lightheaded. I felt this dark haze come over my vision, and that is the last thing I remember. I must have passed out. I woke up still on the floor, with Brett staring down at me, very concerned. He told me that whoever was after me had gone after banging on the doors and windows a few more times. Of course, Brett demanded an explanation. I told him everything, from the beginning. And neither of us could figure out what to do. I slept on his couch that night, but I think that neither of us got much sleep. There was this weird black tar-like substance clinging to the back of my neck. I had to peel it off. It felt a bit like pins and needles where it had stuck. It was what Officer Davis had been throwing at me. I have no idea what it was. Now that I think about it, it was the same black stuff that Officer Jones had been covered with. It was then that I realized that my body was in a lot of pain. I was covered in cuts, grazes, and bruises that I had gotten while I was running. Even as I write this, only days after this happened, I'm still a little sore actually. After discussing it more the next day, and hearing my story again, Brett convinced me that I should go directly to the station and report what I had seen happen to Officer Jones. If Brett hadn't actually seen Officer Davis with his weird mangled face, I doubt he would have believed anything that I had to say. But because of what he had seen with his own eyes, he didn't doubt anything I told him. Now in the light of day, and away from all the immediate horror of everything, it seemed ridiculous that there was a conspiracy involving the police department. I had no idea who or what Officer Davis was, or what his intentions had been. But the police needed to know, and they needed to know what happened to Officer Jones as well. I drove back into town in Brett's car. As I was driving, Brett was with me. I was actually very scared the whole way there. I was worried that Officer Davis was hiding somewhere, and that he would come out from behind the trees. We passed my car on the way there. It was still on the side of the road exactly how I had left it, with the door open, and the contents of my pockets were still on the road. I picked up my keys and phone and my other stuff very quickly. I locked my car door, but I left it where it was, and used Brett's car for the rest of the journey, because I didn't know if Officer Davis had put it on APB or something, so that I would get pulled over if anyone saw my car. The patrol car was gone. Officer Jones' body, which had rolled out of the car and fallen into the road, was also gone. We got to the police department. Brett came in with me. I told the guy at the desk that I had something to report, and he told me to take a seat, and someone would be with me shortly. A female officer came out and introduced herself, and shook my hand. She motioned for me to follow her, and as I was doing so, I saw something out of the corner of my eye. It was Officer Jones. He was standing outside of an office. He looked completely normal.
What?
Except he had this weird, blank expression on his face. He didn't see me. If I had gone any further, I would have crossed his line of sight, and he would have seen me. At that moment, my stomach fell, and I knew I had to get out of there. "Excuse me, I forgot something in my car," I said. I turned around and went to the reception area, and signaled to Brett that we had to go. He came after me as fast as he could. I hadn't given my name, so I didn't have to go back. If I tell them that I saw Officer Davis attack and do some weird ritual with Officer Jones, they wouldn't believe me. I saw something very sinister that night, and it has killed and replicated Officer Jones, and he might have done the same with someone else by now. Who knows what it is? If I tell someone, I would get laughed at, and no one would believe me. I've just been a mess these past few days. I can't eat or sleep properly. It's taken me a while to get into a coherent state, to be able to explain all of this and type it out and share it with others. I still keep having nightmares about it. And I am so much more afraid of a police car because I'm terrified that I'll run into that monster again. Or worse still, that it has turned someone else by now. It could be anywhere, as anyone, and it knows who I am. It tried to kill me once. Who's to say it won't try again as soon as it sees me? And I wouldn't even see it coming. I'm afraid to go out or do anything. There is something very bad going on out there. Be on your guard. Brett told me that he saw a news article in our local paper. Apparently, Officer Davis is now listed as a missing person, and they're saying that Officer Jones was the last person to see him alive, and that they aren't sure what happened on the night that Officer Davis disappeared, and that Officer Jones has been left traumatized and a changed man. That's how they are interpreting the staring and the weird behavior. This is so terrifying and frustrating. I feel that I need to warn someone. So many people are in danger. But who would believe me?
Oh, thank God. Whew, this is a long ass video. Don't you know how you like, you talk on the phone?
There's always a reason to be afraid.
Bitch. Is it over? I was God. Why do you have to whisper like that? That scared the shit out of me. But yeah, don't you know how you you talk to somebody either in person or over the phone, and you're like holding a conversation, and you just like, Okay. Like, you don't want to say, are we done? Are we finished yet? Like, is this conversation over? But, like, you're thinking, like, bro, yo, come on. Wrap it up. Like, we've been talking for, like, 30 minutes. Like, come on, yo. I have to go. Like, can you stop talking, please? But you don't. But if you say that, you'll be rude as hell. That's how I felt like, you know, a lot of people like to prolong shit. So that's kind of how I felt. I mean, these stories was great. Very good. Very put together. Very, very well put together. I don't know I don't know if these stories are true or not. Right? I may have to do my research, but if anybody knows for a fact if these stories are fake or real, let me know that, because I try to do like true horror stories, so it makes it that much more scarier and creepier. But some of these, like this last story, I felt like he was prolonging that. Like he could have cut the last story off like 5 minutes early, you know, but he just kept talking. I mean, it's a long ass video, man. God damn, I wasn't expecting this. But yeah, man, that first story takes the cake, because can you imagine growing up with somebody, or you being with somebody for like a while, and it's like you think you know everything about them, but you don't until you find some shit. You know, you be friends, or yeah, you be friends with somebody for like, you can be best friends with somebody for like 10 years. They tell you, and that was told 10 years you known each other. You know, your friend had a box about yay big, right, with a lock on it, and told you, since the first day y'all met, do not go in my box. 10 years down the road, you have never went in the box. For some reason, you want to go into the box. You got it open. You open the box, and it's like you find, you know, you just find some shit that you regret seeing, you know, like a human head or something like that, or like a master A+ plan to like kill the president, or to take over the planet, or something like something really clucked up, and it's like you see it, and it's like you can't unsee it. It's like it just changes you. Now you have now that you've seen it, you have to cut off the comment. You have to cut off the relationship. You know, somebody tell you not to go in something or not to do something, and they tell you that repeatedly, don't do it. Just don't do it. Okay? Don't do it. That's all you gotta do. Another thing I want to say is, I really hope this video gets put up, and I really hope this video does not get copyrighted, because I would basically be doing this whole reaction for nothing. Can you imagine that? Just sitting here for like an hour plus, just for nothing. So hopefully I don't have any copyright issues with this. And yeah, let me know if these stories are real or fake. If they're fake, chances of me reacting to this again is pretty slim, because I like to stick to like more real stuff, or things that have actually happened. Because story 2 and story 3, they sound really, really sus. Like they sound 50-50. Like I don't know if they're real or not. But like the first story sounds real. But yeah, man. Keep it cool, keep it classy, and I love you. Stay happy, my family.